Good morning, friends. I'm Sunita Fadkule, professor in mechanical engineering, working at JSPM Jaywantrao Sawant College of Engineering. Our today's topic is single DOF force vibration due to unbalanced force. This is our video lecture number 16. Our learning outcome will be you will be able to analyze the response to the force vibration due to unbalanced forces. Before going to the topic, let us see what we have learned in the earlier lecture. In earlier lecture, we have studied steady state amplitude, magnification factor, and frequency response curves. Two curves we have studied, frequency response curve and phase frequency curve. Okay, so the steady state amplitude in force vibration due to harmonic external excitation is given by capital X is equal to XO upon square root of 1 minus omega upon omega n square, full bracket square, plus 2 zeta omega upon omega square. So this is the steady state amplitude for the force vibration due to external excitation, where XO is given as FO upon K. FO is external excitation force, K is spring stiffness. Okay, and XO is also known as a zero frequency deflection. Then we have studied how to find out phi, that is a phase lag angle. So it is given by tan inverse 2 zeta omega upon omega n upon 1 minus omega upon omega n square. Then we have studied magnification factor. It is a ratio of steady state amplitude to the zero frequency deflection, which is given by 1 upon square root of 1 minus omega upon omega n square, full bracket square, plus 2 zeta omega upon omega n square. Okay, and finally we had studied frequency response curves, that is magnification factor versus frequency ratio, and secondly phase frequency response curve, that is phase angle versus frequency ratio. Okay, now today this is the second case of force vibration which we are going to study, because see, majority of the vibrations which are taking place in turbines, lathe machines, engines, aeroplanes, you take any machinery. So the vibrations will be there because of the unbalanced forces, okay, because the unbalanced mass present in the system. So today we are going to study the force vibration due to unbalanced mass, rotating and reciprocating. Both we are going to study. Okay, so unbalanced mass, say unbalance in rotating and reciprocating machine is the main cause of the vibrations, as I told you right now. Say for example, electric motor, turbine, or in fact all other rotating machineries, they have some amount of unbalance left in them even after correcting their unbalance on the precision balancing machine. The final unbalance is measured in terms of an equivalent mass MO rotating with its CG at a distance E from its axis of rotation. Okay, so unbalanced mass is MO and it is at a distance E from axis of rotation. So it creates a centrifugal force. Okay, so because of the rotation of the body, this creates the because of the unbalanced mass of the body, it creates the centrifugal force, which is proportional to the square of the frequency rotation. You know the formula of centrifugal force. It is centrifugal force is equal to say mr omega square basically. So here m is mo, r is e. Okay, this centrifugal force is the maximum value of the sinusoidal excitation in any direction. Okay, because if we it continuously changes the direction because it is rotating. But what's the maximum value? It never changes. Maximum value is mo e omega square. If omega changes, then only maximum value changes, because mo is constant, e is constant. Okay, so it varies with the speed of rotation and is different from harmonic excitation. That means the case 1 we have studied. Okay, where the maximum force was independent of the frequency. What was the maximum force magnitude in the first case? FO. What was the how the force was represented? FO sin omega t. So FO is the magnitude of the force which was constant. Even if you increase or decrease the speed of your machinery, and if external force is acting on that body, external force is independent of omega. But here that is not the case. This unbalanced force is present in the system that is totally dependent on the omega. This is the main difference between these two cases. Now first let us see the analytical part of this case 2. Okay. So for this following figure, it represents an elastically supported machine rotating at the speed omega radian per second. Okay. Let the unbalanced mass MO have an eccentricity E, and let the total mass of the machinery is M. It includes unbalanced mass MO also. And let K and C be the spring stiffness and damping coefficient in the direction of vibration. Okay. Let the mass MO make an angle omega T with the reference axis at any instant, and then the centrifugal force is acting, you know, it is outwards. Okay. So let us see these diagrams. So in the first diagram, this diagram is in the equilibrium position. Okay. That means this MO and MO, so M is the total mass of the machinery, K and C are the spring stiffness and damping coefficient, and C unbalanced mass is here, that is MO magnitude and at a distance E. Okay, so the system is now equilibrium position here. Now if it starts vibrating and if we consider any position at a time T, so let us see, consider that the whole mass M has shifted upwards by a distance x. So this is the displaced position of angle of rotation of unbalanced rotating mass. Okay. So the whole machinery has shifted upward due to vibration at any time t. Okay. Then in the third diagram, what is shown that, see, this is the rotating mass. So as this total machinery, it is shifted by a distance x upward. At the same time, this rotating mass MO has also rotated through an angle omega T. So this is the actual position of the MO after time T. Okay, so that means this this is just shown here. So actually position is MO here. Okay, so now we have to find out how much distance this MO has been say transfer, or MO has been shifted. So basically from here to here it is x, and as it is rotated, this is x plus E sin omega c. See, this is the E. Okay, so and this is angle omega t. So how much is this vertical distance? Consider the right angle triangle here. So it is E sin omega t, because this angle is omega t. Understood this one, no? So we have to, so how much is the mass, how much is the distance covered by this MO in any time t? X plus E sin omega t. Okay, here, because see, this is your equilibrium position. So from here, mass has been traveled x plus E sin omega t distance. Okay. Then, so here we have written all the parameters. Let M is the total mass of the machine, including unbalanced mass, MO. Then MO is unbalanced mass in kg, E eccentricity of the unbalanced mass, omega angular velocity of rotation of the unbalanced mass, K is the spring stiffness, and C is the damping coefficient. Okay. Now here we have to apply the D'Alembert's principle to get the equation of motion for force vibration due to unbalanced mass. Okay. So what is D'Alembert's principle? Summation of all the forces is equal to 0. So before that one, let us see how much is the distance traveled by the total mass excluding MO, because MO we are considering separately. So total vertical displacement of mass of the machine excluding unbalanced rotating mass, that is M minus MO, is X, as already we have seen in this diagram. The total distance covered by this machinery is X. Now here we are excluding MO because MO we are considering separately. Then the total vertical displacement of unbalanced rotating mass MO is what? X plus E sin omega t, as I explained you. Okay. Hence, force due to mass of the machine excluding unbalanced rotating mass is how much? Acceleration for inertia force, you can say. So for this machinery, it is M minus MO into X double dot. And what is the acceleration force? Only because of MO into acceleration. Correct? So let us see here. Okay. What are the forces? This is a free body diagram of machine. Okay. As machine is moving up, at any time t, spring force will be acting downward having magnitude kx, damping force is acting downward having magnitude c into x dot. Then what are the remaining forces? Inertia force. Okay, because there is no external force here. Inertia force is there. Okay, so inertia force is how much? M minus MO into x double dot. So it is the total mass of the machinery excluding MO. Okay, and this is the inertia force due to MO only. Now how this term has come, that I will explain further. Okay, so total acceleration force, total inertia force by MO unbalanced mass is MO x double dot minus MOE omega square sin omega t. How this has come, let us see. See here, this table shows mass, displacement, velocity and acceleration for complete mass of the system M minus MO, okay, and rotating mass MO. As we have considered MO separately, here we have to subtract, okay. So how much is the displacement covered by M minus MO? X. How much is the displacement covered by MO unbalanced mass? X plus E sin omega t. So differentiating, we will get velocity. What is the velocity by for complete mass M minus MO? X dot. Okay, differentiating this X. Differentiating this displacement, we will get X dot plus E sin omega t. Correct? Okay. Then here acceleration, differentiation of X dot further, it is X double dot, and differentiation of this velocity X dot plus E sin omega t is what? X double dot minus E omega square sin omega t. Why minus? Because see, here differentiation of sine is here differentiation of sine is cos and differentiation cos is sine. So x double dot minus E omega square sin omega t. Okay. Then applying D'Alembert's principle. Okay. So here, what is D'Alembert's principle? Summation of all the forces are equal to 0. So there are 4 forces acting. Now assuming which direction positive, see all the forces are acting downward, because here we are applying the D'Alembert's principle. So we have to show the inertia forces in the opposite direction of motion of machinery, that mass. So as mass is moving up, complete mass is moving up, inertia force is acting in the opposite direction, that is downward. Okay. So inertia force due to this complete mass into acceleration, that is M minus MO into X double dot, downward positive. Okay, M minus MO into X double dot. Then second accelerating force is due to rotating mass into acceleration, that is MO into bracket X double dot minus E omega square sin theta, E omega square sin omega t. Okay, so this is the say inertia force due to MO plus Cx dot plus Kx is equal to 0. So these are the 4 forces: spring force, damping force, inertia force due to unbalanced mass, and inertia force due to complete mass excluding unbalanced mass. Okay. Now let us simplify this. M minus MO X double dot as it is, plus multiply by, take this MO inside. So MO X double dot minus MOE omega square sin omega t plus Cx dot plus Kx is equal to 0. So this term we have shown here. See in this diagram, MO X double dot minus MOE omega square sin omega t. So this is the inertia force due to unbalanced mass. Okay. Then open this bracket. Mx double dot minus MOX double dot plus MOX double dot plus minus MOE omega square sin omega t plus Cx dot plus Kx is equal to 0. What happens? Minus MOX double dot plus MOX double dot will be cancelling out. So what is remaining? MX double dot, see here, plus Cx dot plus Kx is equal to, this term we are taking on the right hand side, MO omega square E sin omega t. Okay. So if you compare this equation is similar to the earlier equation we have studied for the case of external excitation acting on the system. So what was that equation? Mx double dot plus Cx dot plus Kx is equal to Fo sin omega t. Therefore, if you compare these two equations, everything is same except Fo. So what is the value of Fo we are getting here? Fo is equal to MOE omega square. Remember, in the earlier case, Fo was constant. That is a magnitude that was representing magnitude. Here also this is representing magnitude only, but it is dependent on omega. MO is constant, E is constant, but omega is changing. We can run machinery at different speed. So if omega changes, FO changes. Okay. So hence all equations are valid for force vibration, force damp vibrations. That can be used here also. Okay, by considering the periodic disturbance magnitude, FO is equal to MOE omega square and the mass of the complete machine. The only difference is that in this case, the centrifugal force varies with the speed of rotation because it is given as MOE omega square. And in force vibration due to external excitation, the sinusoidal force FO is independent of frequency. This is the major difference in the two cases whatever we have studied. The first case is force vibration due to external excitation. Second case is force vibration due to unbalanced force, which is internal force. Okay. So what is the complete solution of force vibration due to unbalanced mass? It is given by X is equal to XC plus XP. That is complementary solution plus particular solution is given is nothing but the complete solution. So complete solution X is equal to, what is the complementary solution? We have studied in unit number 1 for under-damped vibratory system. Xc is given as, now we are familiar with this equation, A2 into e raised to minus zeta omega nt into sine square root of 1 minus zeta square omega nt plus phi 2, where phi 2 and A2 are constants. Okay. And particular solution is given by this equation. Okay. So MOE omega square into sine omega t minus phi upon square root of 1 minus omega upon omega n square full bracket square plus 2 zeta omega upon omega n square. How this has come? You remember, no? Last time the solution was given by capital X sine omega t minus phi. We have assumed the solution the same. So capital X is given by this one, no? Okay. So see here, amplitude of steady state vibration. If you remember, in the earlier case, capital X steady state amplitude is given by FO upon K upon the whole root. It was for the force vibration due to external excitation. Now here what we have to do? We have to just replace this FO and put the value of FO here, that is MOE omega square. So this only we did it. So X is equal to MOE omega square upon K upon square root of 1 minus omega upon omega n square full bracket square plus 2 zeta omega upon omega n square. Okay. Now we have to simplify this in, or we have to write this equation in dimensionless form. Okay, that means on left hand side it is a capital X, that is amplitude, that is maybe in mm. So we have to write this equation in the dimensionless form. So what we have to do? Put the value of K here. What's the value of K? If you consider the natural frequency of the system, it is given by omega n is equal to square root of K upon m. Therefore, omega n square is equal to K upon m. Okay. So what is K then? M omega square. So put the value of K here, m omega square. Okay. So putting K is equal to m omega n square, capital X is equal to MOE omega square upon m omega n square upon the whole square root. Okay. Now this we can write like this, MO into E upon M. This you write down separately, and omega square upon omega n square write separately. So this we will write down like this, MOE upon M into omega upon omega n bracket square upon the whole square root. Okay. So this can be written as capital X is equal to MOE upon M into omega upon omega n bracket square. Okay. Now this term I will take on left hand side. Okay. So it is X upon MOE upon M is equal to omega upon omega n square upon square root of 1 minus omega upon omega n square full bracket square plus 2 zeta omega upon omega n square. This is our final equation for steady state amplitude for forced vibration due to unbalanced force. Okay. In force vibration due to external excitation, what was your equation? Do you remember? In the force vibration due to external excitation, what was this equation? capital X upon capital XO is equal to 1 upon, see here in the recap I have mentioned. We'll go upward and we'll see recap. That is nothing but your magnification factor. That is basically the definition of the magnification factor. See, this is. Okay. So here actually this is the steady state amplitude for force vibration due to external excitation, which is given by X is equal to XO upon the whole square root. So if we bring this XO here, this will become dimensionless quantity. And this is only the definition of magnification factor as we have seen in the earlier lecture. MF is equal to X upon XO is equal to 1 upon the whole square root. Okay. So in this case, that is force vibration due to unbalanced force, what expression we are getting here for say amplitude, this one in dimensionless form, X upon MOE upon M is equal to omega upon, here it was 1 for force vibration due to external excitation. Now it is omega upon omega n square. Denominator is same in both the cases. Okay. Now how this has become dimensionless? See, dimension of X is say mm. Dimension of MO upon M, kg upon kg cancelled. Dimension of E, mm. So mm upon mm, kg upon kg. So this term is dimensionless. Okay. So now this equation gives the dimensionless steady state amplitude as a function of frequency ratio and damping factor. So again we have to draw here the graphs, plots of what? This term, dimensionless term, X upon MOE upon M versus frequency ratio, that is omega upon omega n, for different values of damping factor zeta. Okay. But before that one, see, equation of phase angle remains same as earlier case. This we have studied in force vibration due to external excitation. Phi is equal to tan inverse 2 zeta omega upon omega n upon 1 minus omega upon omega n square. The same expression is true for this case also. So phi doesn't change. Phi is going to remain same. Okay. So similar analogy can be drawn for reciprocating machine. Now see, whatever we have seen here, that was, we have considered only a rotating machine. Okay. Because the machinery was rotating. But now we have to study the force vibration due to unbalanced mass in reciprocating machine. Till now we have studied the force vibration due to unbalanced mass present in the rotary system. Okay, turbine is rotating, chuck is rotating, okay, motor is rotating. So that was the forces, unbalanced forces present in the rotary system. But in the engine, the piston is moving up and down. Okay, or reciprocating pump is there, or reciprocating compressor is there. So there also unbalanced force is present. So how to analyze the force vibration for reciprocating unbalance? Okay, so let us see here. The similar analogy can be drawn for reciprocating machine. How? Consider a reciprocating engine having reciprocating mass MO. See, reciprocating mass here, that is mass of the piston basically, that is treated as an unbalanced mass. Now this you are going to study in detail in unit number 4. The title of the unit number 4 is say balancing of the system. Okay, there you are going to study in detail how to remove unbalanced rotary force, unbalanced force due to rotating mass and unbalanced force due to reciprocating mass, because those are basically present in the system, reciprocating mass. So both the cases we are going to study in detail regarding the unbalanced forces. So right now here you just consider that in the reciprocating engine, reciprocating mass MO is nothing but the unbalanced mass. Okay, that is a reciprocating parts mass, and complete engine having the mass M. Okay, the crank length is E. So basically we denote it by R. Okay, but here as we want the similar terminology, so R is replaced by E, and assuming the reciprocating piston MO to be placed at the crank. If you remember the crank diagram, okay, this what you can say in theory of machine we have learned the reciprocating mechanism diagram. This is say connecting rod, this is crank, okay, this is crankshaft, and then this was the piston. So whatever the unbalanced mass present in the piston is there, that is assumed to be placed at the crank. Then that becomes the rotary case. Understood? So the assuming the reciprocating piston mass MO to be placed at the crank, then this reciprocating system becomes equivalent to the rotary system having eccentricity equal to crank radius E and mass, complete mass M. Okay, so that's why whatever the formulae or whatever the method we have adopted for force vibration due to unbalanced mass in the rotary machine, same procedure, same analogy, same formulae are applicable to reciprocating machine also. Okay, so how this reciprocating mass has been assumed to be placed in crank without disturbing the system forces. It is equivalent, that we'll study in detail in unit number 4. Okay, so thus both the systems, that is rotating as well as reciprocating, can be considered equivalent to the mathematical modeling shown in above figure. Okay, what was the mathematical modeling shown here? See, in this diagram we have shown this mathematical modeling. Okay, here. So this is true for both the type of machines, rotary as well as reciprocating. Okay, now let us move further and study the plot, that is second part. Okay, part B, that is graph of dimensionless amplitude versus frequency ratio. So you know that capital X upon MOE upon M is equal to omega upon omega in bracket square upon 1 minus omega upon omega in square full bracket square plus 2 zeta omega upon omega in bracket square. See why I am reading this always and always, because this is only the basic formula. Denominator will never change. You take any case, we are going to study total 3 cases of force vibration. Case 1, force vibration due to external excitation, which we have already studied in earlier lecture. Denominator was same. Here now we are studying case 2, that is force vibration due to unbalanced force. May it be rotary or may it be reciprocating. Denominator is going to remain same. And now in the next lecture, we are going to study force vibration due to base excitation. There also denominator is going to remain same. That's why you must by heart this denominator. And by this, when you solve the problem on your own in your notebook, when you write down this equation for say 10 or 20 times, automatically this will be by hearted by you. Okay. So here this X upon MOE upon M is the dimensionless steady state amplitude, which is a function of frequency ratio and magnification factor. See, this I can also write down X upon MOE upon M into omega upon omega and square is equal to 1 upon this square root. What is 1 upon the whole square root? This is nothing but magnification factor. So I can write down X upon MOE upon M is equal to omega upon omega square into MF into magnification factor. Understood? So plotting the dimension amplitude X upon MOE upon M versus frequency ratio omega upon omega n. So consider this diagram. See, on left hand side, on y axis it is mx upon me. Here just this x we have taken upward. See, understood? This m we have taken upward. So mx upon moe, it is written like this, mx upon me, rotating unbalanced. Okay, but it is true for reciprocating also. Okay, and then here on x axis there is a frequency ratio. Okay, now we have to study different cases for different damping ratio. So let us consider first case, or let us consider, see, these are the observation. We'll go one by one. Okay, so this is the plot of dimensionless amplitude versus frequency ratio. This graph being a dimensionless, find use in prediction dynamic to predict the dynamic amplitude of any given system, whose we know what is the value of zeta, what is the value of m. R means omega upon omega, you know, it's a frequency ratio. Then MO and E are known. Okay, so now what are the observation from the graph? The first observation is at zero speed. Zero speed means what? Omega is equal to 0. At zero speed, the dimensionless steady state amplitude, that is x upon MOE upon M, is 0 for all values of damping coefficient. Every curve starts from origin. Whatever may be the value of zeta, it may be 0.25, it may be 0.15, it may be 0.1, it may be 0. every curve starts from 0. Why? Because this equation governs the graph. When you put omega is equal to 0, this numerator becomes 0. Okay. So when you put here 0, it becomes 1. Okay. So 1 plus 0. So 1. So x upon MOE upon M is equal to 0 for all the values of zeta when omega is equal to 0. Okay. That's why every curve starts from 0. Do you remember the graph in the first case, that is force vibration due to external excitation? Every curve was starting from 1 because this term was not there. Okay, that was independent of omega. No, this term was not 0, so it was not there. So what was the formula? X upon xo is equal to 1 upon this one. That's why in force vibration due to external excitation, every curve was starting from 1. Okay, but here in the second case, every curve starts from 0. When omega is equal to 0, amplitude is 0. Okay, so now as it's a considered case of zeta is equal to say 0. As you go on increasing the frequency omega, this amplitude goes on increasing, and you know where it will be maximum at resonant condition. That is where omega upon omega is equal to 1. This is the resonant condition. So at omega upon omega n is equal to 1. That means omega is equal to omega 1, omega n. All the amplitudes for all values of zeta, amplitude are maximum. Peak are going to occur here. We have learned in detail in the earlier lecture. What do you mean by peak frequency? Okay, so this is the case when zeta is equal to 0. Then if we increase certain, if we provide certain damping, say zeta is equal to 0.1, okay, and you vary omega, what will you get? Your amplitude will be increasing, increasing, increasing. It will be maximum here, that is at resonant frequency. If we further increase the frequency, the amplitude will go on decreasing, 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 and it will be less here as omega increases further. Okay, then consider suppose zeta is equal to 0.15. Again, the trend is going to remain same. Nature of the graph is same for all the values of zeta. Again, increasing at resonant maximum, then decreasing. For zeta is equal to 0.25. As omega increases, amplitude increases, maximum at resonant, and then decreases. Okay, like this. So, what is the difference then? All these damping factor. See, as damping increases, say from top to bottom, no? These are. Why top to bottom? Because as damping increases, amplitude decreases. We have seen in earlier case also. So the nature of the graph like this is going to remain constant in all responses of the system. It may be force vibration due to anything. Your basic nature will remain this one only. Only the case is that how much is the peak we are interested in that one. Whether peak is here, that is say having dimensionless quantity 5, or it is 3, or it is 2. So what is, as a designer, what is our role? That we have to provide the damping in such a way that how much amplitude we can reduce. We want this reduction. Okay, so if our machinery we want to run in this category, in this zone, basically we have to avoid our machinery, the operating speed of the machinery should not be falling in this zone, because this is the resonant zone. Say you can say 0.5 to 1.5. This zone we have to always avoid, because here the amplitude of vibration is maximum always. So our machinery should we should keep the speed of machinery either very low, omega should be very, very less than omega n, or we should run our machinery in this zone where omega is very, very greater than omega n. Okay, but it is not in our hand. No, it depends on functionality. How much should be the speed of any, say, lathe machine or turbine? So designer will think that can it run in this machinery? It is well and good. No need to provide damping also. See, already amplitude is very less. Here also no need to provide damping. But if our machineries we have to run in this zone, then damping is must. Understood? And how much we should provide the damping, that depends on how much reduction, or basically how much reduction we want in the amplitude. Okay, understood? So what is the first observation? At zero speed, the dimensionless steady state amplitude is 0 for all values of damping coefficient, and every curve starts from origin 0. The second observation is at resonance, the dimensionless amplitude, that is x upon MOE upon M, is infinitely large theoretically, and limited damping present in the system only. Okay, limiting, that means see, for zeta is equal to 0, it is infinitely large theoretically. Practically, you know, it is, there is a limit, but amplitude is too much large, and for different values of zeta, still peak occurs at resonant condition. Okay, the third observation is at larger values of frequency ratio, the dimensionless amplitude tends to unity. See, this is the zone, third zone, where all these values, all these curves tending to 1. Okay, tending to 1, that is the amplitude is hardly ratio, means the amplitude ratio is 1. So these are the plots of for different values of zeta of steady state amplitude versus frequency ratio for the force vibration due to unbalanced force. Okay, so understood now what was our learning outcome? If we go did you understand? Your learning outcome was learner will be able to analyze the response to the force vibration due to unbalanced forces. So how was the response? Whatever the graph we have studied, that was the response of the system. Okay, so in the next lecture we are going to study the third case, that is force vibration due to base excitation. Right now we have considered the base is steady, it is not vibrating, but then third case is very interesting. Okay, it is somewhat lengthy. I may need 45 minutes for that case. Okay, so thank you very much for patiently listening to the lecture. Now let me stop sharing.